Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. This episode to me was mixed. There was some really good stuff, and then there was some unnecessary stuff. I'm gonna get to the stuff that I like first. The Drew stuff. I was really nervous about Cameron being Jerome. Because for me, whenever somebody takes over the role of somebody else, and I really like them in that role, I'm always on the fence, I'm always just like, well, I don't know how he's gonna do. But I gotta sit there and say, he does actually do a good job as far as being Drew. Because he didn't screw up. I feel like a lot of times when you have these actors replacing another actor, they're never going to do it the exact same way that somebody else did something. And so, to some extent, you kind of got to give them a bit of leeway. And it's something that I'm learning more as when I'm watching these soap operas. That they're never going to do it that person's exact same way. We just don't want that person to suck. And Cameron, so far, didn't suck. So, that's pretty cool. Only thing that majorly happens for his part is that, after the whole cell phone thing and, he realized that who's ever holding him captive needs him alive. He gets into the fight with the security guard again. And this is after, of course, they threaten Sam, like if she even comes to try to find him, she's going to be done. But they fight again, and he does manage to get a pen, so, he can try to, get the cuffs off and maybe try to get a few steps further. I guess my question is, how long is this going to take? With Jason, when he had to escape, it took about 3 weeks. Give or take, I think. It took about 3 weeks. I'm hoping it's not going to take that long. But I guess as long as they make it interesting, I'll stick around for the ride. But I gotta sit there and say, Cameron definitely did a good job with the role so far. Which isn't an easy role. It's not an easy role. Because... well, you're never going to do it like the other person. You just have to make sure that you don't suck. I think that's the main thing. Gotta sit there and hand it to him. He didn't suck, so... the meeting of the 5 families. The whole time... this whole meeting is really just setting it up. Throughout this whole meeting, they keep sitting there asking, oh, where's Carly at? Where's Carly? This, that, and the third. She's not here. Oh, she's talking to the feds. This, that, and the third. And all this meeting is really just going to set them up to try to rush this wedding. Because the woman, I can't remember her name, was like, listen, she got privileged information. And if she's married to you, that's different. But until y'all are married, I don't know, because at one point, that's what they're talking about, threatening her, to eliminate her, because, loose lips and everything like that, and even though Jason tries to assure them, she's good, she's known stuff for years, which in some ways was kind of a bad idea, because that's when she was like, yeah, exactly. So y'all need to get this whole marriage thing, ASAP. And that's pretty much all this meeting set up, was setting up to do. And even when Carly came back, Carly was like, how was the meeting? And Jason just had that look on his face, had that look on his face to sit there and tell you exactly how that meeting, went. So, yeah, there's that. Jax and Obrick. I could have did without this whole scene. I could have did without this whole scene. This whole scene went nearly nowhere. The only thing that actually came from the scene is that Old Brick will probably be an ally towards Jax in the future because, you know, she got her own beef with Carly and Jason. Other than that, it was just Jackson there complaining and whining about how his plan didn't work. That's pretty much what he got out of, that's what he got out of the whole meeting, with Carly after Carly caught him blackmailing, trying to blackmail her. That's the only thing he's upset about, is that it didn't work. And he spends the next 5 to 7 minutes in there complaining with Lizzo about it. And that his phone doesn't work because it got hacked. That's pretty much about it. Other than that, it just really didn't go anywhere, and it was just a giant waste of time. Yeah, just a waste of time. Could have really did without it. This whole Nicholas, the whole scene with Nicholas and Laura and Spencer and Kevin, berating him about how wrong he was, what he did. Listen, I get it. Nicholas screwed up royally. I mean, in his defense, he really felt like Spencer did it because of the coincidence and the timing and everything like that. The problem was that he had absolutely no proof. He just had a bunch of accusations. So Laura, going in him, and Spencer and Kevin going in him was well deserved. The problem with that scene is that it just went on too long. Like, Laura really going in about 12, 15 minutes in, well, you did this because, just like berating him about how wrong he did. Like, after a while, it was like, Laura, we get it. I was over it. I was literally over it. And then she went so far to sit there and say, oh, you're going to wind up like, Elena and Starbucks and Stefan. And I'm like, same thing what Brock TV said. Listen, what he did was screwed up. But he's nowhere near on their level. At best, what he did was get revenge on his own son. And it just gave him a bad look. But to sit there and say, oh, you keep going down this route. Seriously? You want to sit there and compare what Nicholas is doing to what Helena and Starbucks did? After a while, I was just kind of over the whole berating thing. Like, after a while, Laura just got on my damn nerves. Because I get where she's coming from, but after about 7 to 10 minutes, I'm like, shut up. We get it. That went on way too long. Trina, Confidence Spencer was nice. I think it's kind of interesting because now it's like, alright, now it's not him. Even though they set it up to make it look like it was him. The motivation, the motives and everything like that, we can understand why he did what he did, but now it's looking like he's innocent. Or at the very least, there's somebody else that's doing this, and I don't know. They just went on a twist. They kind of twisted it up. And I know I was not there reading comments, and I know somebody was not there upset about that, but to be honest, I kind of like that. In a way, I kind of like the fact that they did turn it around to make us, make everyone sit there and think it was Spencer. And now it can be somebody, somebody else. So I kind of like that twist. Yeah, all Trina did was comfort Spencer, and then they looked like they were about to kiss. But of course, they get stopped by Cameron because Cameron is like, yo, listen, Jocelyn is leaving, so you want to come with us? And she's like, no, she's good. And then I guess they're about to probably kiss. Carly went off on Nicholas. So she berated Nicholas for a little bit. And of course, Nicholas was like, oh, well, you're the one to sit there and give, like, parenting advice. But I'm like, you know what? Normally I would agree with you. But this is still all on you. So you can't, like, you can't come at Carly when you royally screwed up today. You just can't do it today. Maybe in a couple of days, but today, nah. Jocelyn and Carly talk for a little bit, and that's when Carly goes back to the meeting. Which, by the way, I'm not gonna lie, I don't even understand why she even went back there because she already missed the meeting. Why even bother to show up now? Like, after it's already over. It just seems so dumb. It's like going to a class that you already missed. And I've seen people do that, and I'm just like, why? Like, what kind of look is that gonna, what I'm saying? How does that look you sit there going, showing up to the end of the class? At the end of the class. Like, Sam and Curtis kind of discussed the possibility if Drew's alive. They go back and forth, and towards the end, Sam, comes to the conclusion that Drew's alive. And that was pretty much about it. Not gonna lie. This is another one of those scenes where it was just like, was this really needed? I mean, I guess it was needed, but it was like it didn't go anywhere else. All they did was talk about good 10, maybe 12 minutes to sit there and bounce back and forth between if Drew's alive, if Drew's dead, if Drew's alive, if Drew's dead, Drew's alive. Okay. And we needed 10 minutes to sit there and kind of debate that. Okay. Alright. Now, the sad thing is I think that's actually about it. And it's only been 11 minutes so far. The thing about some of these episodes of GH is that they have some, lately they've been having some interesting parts in these episodes. But they haven't necessarily been good episodes. Like, the Drew stuff was great, the Five Family stuff was great. The Nicholas stuff was great up until a certain point. Like, me personally, after about 7 minutes, just hearing Laura berate Nicholas was just like, alright, it was overkill after a while, and just kept going and going and going. It was like, alright, like, we get it, Sam and Curtis stuff was like, it really wasn't that great. It really wasn't that great. They just kind of bounced around the idea if Drew was alive or not. And, like, it didn't really go anywhere. And Jackson Liesel stuff was completely and utterly pointless. I mean, seriously, who actually wants to sit there and hear Jax whine about how his plan didn't work to blackmail Carly? Or to what, get her arrested? Like, what was your... And it's like, yeah, okay. Again, like yesterday, I get where Jax is coming from. I get the fact that he is willing to go to any level, sink any level to make sure that his daughter's okay. I get that. But, I mean, this was just a scumbag move. Point blank, it was a scumbag move. But sitting there watching the scene with him whining to Liesel about how it didn't work for about a good 5 or 7 minutes was just unnecessary. And all Liesel said was, next time you do something like this, bring me in. Cool. Could have just said that, and that whole other scene, the rest of the scenes, would have just been entirely pointless. Yeah. I know I'm a little harsh on these episodes sometimes. It's for a couple of reasons. One, I've been a GH fan since 2001. And I remember watching these episodes where nearly all the parts were good. Not just maybe one or two or a couple of, little scenes here and there. Like, the whole thing was good. Especially if I'm sitting there going to watch this show for an hour. I want to be entertained for an hour. And of course, this has a lot to do with the fact that it's just too big of a cast. So there's always going to be some group of people that's going to be just there for winding down the clock, or at best fan service. Like, I saw the previews to tomorrow's episode and they got Epiphany back. I'm like, alright, that's cool. It's great. Is it going to go somewhere? Is it going to actually, like, is it going to lead anywhere, or is it just for the Epiphany fans? Like, it was sort of like with Felix. By the way, this review's over, like, as far as this show. It's sort of like Felix. You know, Felix has a lot of fans. And when I went on his page, people would say, oh man, you were so great, you know, I loved you, you know, I can't wait for you to come back on. But it was like, what did he do in that episode? Like, what did he bring to the table of that episode? It was like he was just there just to be there. I don't know. Like I said, I'm harsh on this show because I actually really love this show. It might not have actually been my first starter show, which was One Life to Live, but it's a show I've been watching for a very, very long time. So my expectations towards this show is pretty high. And I try to cut it some slack where I feel like it needs to be cut. But episodes like this is just like, come on. Like, you can do better than this. You have to do better than this. You are literally the last show as far as a soap opera on ABC. When I was watching it, four. Port Charles, All My Children, One Life to Live, and General Hospital. Back then, when I even started watching a little bit of shows, I'm pretty sure Passions was on. So, I can say I'm pretty old school, you know? So I expect a lot from these shows, specifically this show. I expect more from this show than I do from Days. So when I see an episode of Days where it's fire, I come back and I look at GH and be like, really? You just... Anyway, enough of my complaints. Thank you for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. I actually had to do this twice because, well, I didn't like how the first one came out. So thank you for waiting. Thank you for watching. And I'm so sorry for it coming out so late. But, let's just say I won some money. And it was more than I can get at a convenience, at a corner store or a supermarket. And I had to kind of go really far and wait on a really long line to walk out with a bunch of money that I felt nervous about just taking public transportation. But with that being said, that's why it took me so long also. But thank you for your patience. Be safe. I will see you in the next video.